So, let's dive into something I find fascinating, the science behind why some of us don't just put up with winter. We actually genuinely love it.
You know the scene, right? Your friends are all complaining about the freezing cold, maybe they're booking flights somewhere sunny. Meanwhile, are you the one who feels this little sense of calm, maybe even excitement about staying home in your pajamas for the third day in a row? Well, if that sounds like you, then this is going to make so much sense. It turns out you're not just some kind of weirdo who's built different. There are some really cool psychological reasons you're wired to love this season, and yep, science totally backs it up.
Okay, let's start with the most obvious question, the big one. Why does staying inside just feel so much better when it's cold out?
A big part of it comes down to this psychological idea called the contrast effect. Comfort. Basically, your brain is constantly comparing the harsh, cold world outside your window with your warm, cozy sanctuary inside. Every time you glance out at the freezing street, your brain gets this little hit of satisfaction. It's like, I'm safe, I'm warm, I made the right choice.
Think about it like this. In the summer, staying inside can give you a serious case of FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. It feels like you're losing out on the sunshine and all the social stuff. But in winter, that feeling completely flips to JOMO, the joy of missing out. Staying inside doesn't feel like a compromise at all. It feels like the smarter, better choice.
And you know, there's actually an even deeper, more primal instinct going on here. It's called refuge appeal. This is this deep-seated evolutionary drive where we are literally hardwired to feel safe and satisfied in enclosed spaces, especially when there's some kind of threat outside.
And let's be real, evolutionarily speaking, a brutal winter was a huge threat. So when you're all bundled up on your couch, you're not being lazy. Your deep ancestral caveman brain is basically throwing a little dopamine party because, hey, you successfully found shelter and you are safe from the storm. Now let's dig into why winter is, for a lot of us, a total introvert's paradise. And it's about so much more than just being comfortable. It's really about your social and mental energy.
I mean, just look at the difference. In summer, the social expectations are through the roof. There are barbecues, rooftop parties, constant pressure to be out there. It is a massive drain on your social battery. Winter, on the other hand, just lowers all of those expectations dramatically. The season itself gives you the perfect social cover. Sorry, it's too cold is the ultimate guilt-free pass to just stay home and recharge. It's not about being antisocial, it's about having the freedom to choose smaller, more meaningful hangouts or, just to enjoy your own company without feeling like you have to justify it to anyone.
And get this, it turns out this quieter season might actually make us smarter. Studies have shown that the best temperature for peak brain performance is actually pretty cool. We're talking right around 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 18 to 21 Celsius.
The reason is just simple biology. When it's hot, your brain and body are spending a ton of energy just trying to cool you down. But in the cooler, more stable temperatures of winter, all that energy can be pointed somewhere else. It frees up your mental resources for deeper focus, for creativity, and for solving problems.
All right, let's tackle what can be a really controversial topic. A lot of people see the early darkness in winter as a major downside, but for true winter lovers, it's often a feature, not a bug.
First off, it is super important to acknowledge that seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, is very real. It seriously impacts about 5% of people. But for the other 95% of us, the experience of darkness can be totally different and, honestly, even a good thing.
Think about it. When the sun sets at 4:30 in the afternoon, it creates a really clear, natural boundary for your day. Your workday has a very obvious endpoint, unlike summer, where it's light until 9 p.m. and you feel this pressure to just keep going. Winter's darkness gives you permission to stop, to shift gears from doing things to just be.
There's this quote that I think just nails it. For people who get it, winter darkness isn't an empty void. It's atmospheric. It encourages you to turn inward. It creates this beautiful, stark contrast between the warm glow inside and that quiet stillness outside. It really fosters a unique kind of peace. And that natural structure, that permission that the darkness gives us, it leads to an even deeper idea. Winter gives us permission to rest and get back in touch with a really ancient human rhythm. For thousands and thousands of years, human life was tied to the seasons. Spring was all about growth. Summer was for intense activity, and autumn was for the harvest. And winter? Winter was the natural, totally necessary time for rest, for reflection, and for saving up your energy. But our modern world? It demands the same high level of energy and productivity 365 days a year. It's like we're expected to live in a non-stop summer of activity, and that just leads to burnout. People who love winter are, maybe without even realizing it, pushing back against that. They're honoring a really deep biological need to just slow down, recharge, and think.
Honoring that internal clock reveals a lot. So, if you're one of those people who genuinely thrives in the winter, what does all of this really say about you?
Well, it suggests you value looking inward over constant external stimulation, which is a great path to self-awareness. It means you find real happiness in the simple comfort of coziness, which shows you can appreciate the moment. It means you're comfortable with darkness, both the literal kind and the metaphorical kind, which points to resilience. And maybe most importantly, it means you don't need a crowd or external validation to feel content. That's a sign of true self-reliance.
In a world that is always shouting for more, brighter, faster, the ability to find peace and fulfillment in the quiet and the slow isn't just a quirky preference, it's a quiet superpower. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. It doesn't matter if you love winter or you hate it. What could we all stand to gain by learning to embrace a season of quiet, of coziness, and of some much-needed rest?